My name is Liam Hart and I am a 38-year-old engineer. I've been married to my wife Ava for 10 years and we have a lovely daughter, Emma, and I thought we were happily married until the weekend that changed everything. That day, Ava took Emma to a friend's birthday party. I decided to take the opportunity to clean the house. I started in the bedroom, making the beds and organizing the closets. When I picked up Ava's cell phone on the nightstand, the screen suddenly lit up. I caught a glimpse of a message preview that confused me. It was a text message from someone named Caspian. I'd never heard Ava mention the name. The content of the message shocked me. "Last night was really great. I can't wait to see you again." My heart started beating wildly. What does this mean? Ava was with me last night. With a trembling hand, I unlocked her cell phone and started scrolling through her messages. I found more texts from Caspian, all of which were ambiguous. "I miss your touch, our little secret." There were also replies that I couldn't believe Ava would send. "I miss you too. I'll see you soon." I felt the sky spinning. It couldn't be true. How could Ava betray our marriage? I began frantically searching her cell phone for more evidence. Soon, I found more disturbing clues. In her photo album, I found several pictures I had never seen before. In the photos, Ava and a strange man were cuddling together in what looked like a hotel room in the background. The man must be Caspian. My mind flashed back to the countless moments when Ava had lied to me. Her so-called overtime and girls' night out now seemed to be a cover-up. All those strange expenses she couldn't explain were probably spent on this secret lover. I feel completely betrayed and humiliated. Our marriage, our family, had become a lie in my eyes. How could Ava do this to me? What did I mean to our relationship? I sat on the edge of the bed with Ava's cell phone in my hand. I didn't know how to face this cruel fact. My trust had been completely broken and my faith in love had been shaken like never before. How can I continue our marriage? Can I still trust Ava? Countless questions swirled in my mind, but I couldn't find any answers. All I knew was that my life had been changed forever. I had to face this harsh reality head-on, no matter where it led me. I took a deep breath and prepared myself for the coming storm. After discovering the evidence of Ava's infidelity, I was plunged into unprecedented pain and self-doubt. Images of Ava with that man kept popping up in my mind, and each time they were like a sharp blade, cutting a trail of blood through my heart. I began to question my worth as a husband. Was I not good enough? Was there something I lacked in my marriage that made Ava choose betrayal? Whenever I saw myself in the mirror, I felt a deep sense of powerlessness and self-loathing. At the same time, I was tormented by a mixture of love for Ava and anger at the betrayal. On the one hand, I couldn't stop thinking about the sweet times we had. Our first meeting, our wedding, the birth of Emma. These beautiful memories have now become a source of pain. On the other hand, I couldn't forgive her for her deception. Whenever she tries to talk to me, I feel a surge of anger and retching. These mixed emotions kept me awake at night. I tossed and turned in bed, and countless horrible scenes flashed in my mind. Ava and that man embracing, kissing, and tangling in the hotel bed. These images were like nightmares, dragging me into endless darkness. I often woke up in the middle of the night in a cold sweat, my heart like a knife. I began to avoid people around me. I was afraid to tell my friends and family the truth, afraid to see the pity or contempt in their eyes. I locked myself in my room and ignored Ava and Emma's concerns. I knew it was wrong, but I couldn't face the reality of being broken. My work began to suffer. I was always distracted, staring at the computer screen. On several occasions, I was even distracted during client meetings and almost blew important projects. My supervisor began to resent my performance, but I couldn't do anything to change it. Sometimes, I have a sudden emotional breakdown in the office. I'd slump over my desk and cry, or I'd rush into the restroom and yell hysterically in the mirror. My coworkers thought I might be in some kind of trouble, but little did they know that I was in the biggest quagmire of my life. I knew that I couldn't go on like this. This self-doubt and pain was eating away at me and destroying my life. I had to make a change, to find a way out. But how do I face this harsh truth? How do I regain faith in myself, in my marriage, in my life? I was deeply confused and helpless, but I realized that I had to pluck up my courage and take that step. No matter what difficulties and challenges lay ahead, I had to face them head on, because running away from them would only make them worse. I had to find a way out for myself, for Emma, and for Ava, whom I loved so much. While I was still struggling with how to deal with Ava's infidelity, my best friend Jack gave me a suggestion: marriage counseling. At first, I resisted. I didn't believe that opening up to a stranger would help, but Jack told me that one of his relatives had saved her marriage through counseling. Out of desperation, I decided to give it a chance. Having made up my mind, I summoned up the courage to confront Ava, showing her the evidence I had found in her cell phone and asking her why she had betrayed our marriage. I showed her the evidence I had found in her cell phone and asked her why she had betrayed our marriage, which Ava initially tried to deny. But under my pressure, she eventually broke down and confessed everything. She admitted that she had a physical relationship with Caspian, but insisted that it was just a moment of confusion. She pleaded for my forgiveness and said she would do anything to save our marriage. Although my heart was bleeding, I told Ava that we needed to seek professional help. I suggested marriage counseling, and to my surprise, she agreed. I contacted Dr. Eliza White, a marriage counselor recommended by Jack, and our first counseling session was soon scheduled. In counseling, Dr. Eliza encouraged us to be honest about our feelings, and Ava talked about her dissatisfaction with our marriage, saying that she felt that I always prioritized my work and ignored her feelings. She said that Caspian gave her the attention and romance that I couldn't provide. Hearing this, I felt a mixture of guilt and anger. I tried to explain my work stress, but it sounded more like an excuse. I also expressed to Ava my pain and hurt over her infidelity. I told her that I had lost all faith in our marriage and love. Whenever I close my eyes, I see images of her with Caspian. I don't know if I can ever trust her again. However, despite these confessions, I felt even more confused. After each counseling session, I would ask myself, is there really any hope for our marriage? Have we hurt each other so much that we can't heal? Dr. Eliza told us that repairing a broken marriage takes time and effort. She gave us some tips on how to communicate and rebuild trust, but I'm not sure it was enough. Whenever I tried to talk to Ava, I felt a deep disconnect. The trust between us had been completely broken, and I didn't know if we could ever get back to what we had before. Even though Ava and I had made some progress in marriage counseling, there was still a question that lingered in the back of my mind. What kind of person was Caspian? What was going on between him and Ava? To find out, I decided to meet him in person. Through Ava's cell phone, I found Caspian's contact information. I sent him a short message saying that I wanted to talk to him. To my surprise, he quickly agreed. We met at a city park. I arrived at the park early that day, filled with nervousness and anxiety. When Caspian appeared, I saw the man's face for the first time. He looked even more handsome than in the photo, and there was a sense of confidence in his demeanor. I felt a pang of jealousy and inferiority. Caspian didn't seem surprised when I asked him point-blank what was going on between him and Ava. He freely admitted that he and Ava did have a physical relationship, but insisted that it was just a fun adventure for him. He said that he had never intended to get involved in our marriage and that Ava was just an attractive woman to him, nothing more. Hearing these words, I felt a wave of anger and humiliation. I questioned how he could treat someone's marriage so lightly and play with Ava's feelings so callously. But Caspian didn't seem to care. He shrugged his shoulders and said that relationships were a matter of you and me, and that Ava was a grown woman who had the right to make her own choices. I tried to get more details out of him, to find out how they met, how long their relationship lasted. But Caspian didn't talk about it. He said that it didn't matter anymore. What mattered was how Ava and I were going to move forward. I realized that I wasn't going to get the answers I wanted from Caspian. His indifference to the relationship made me feel even more frustrated and angry. I had hoped to find some clues from him that might help me understand Ava's behavior better. But now I realized that Caspian was just a selfish, irresponsible third party. At the end of the conversation, Caspian told me that he did not intend to contact Ava again. He said he was tired of the game and hoped that we could resolve our problems soon. His words gave me a small sense of relief, but more than that, a deep sense of powerlessness. As I left the park, my mind was in turmoil. Instead of giving me the answers I was looking for, the meeting had made me more aware of Ava's infidelity. I realized that regardless of Caspian's attitude, Ava was the one who made the choice. She was the one who decided to betray our marriage and put our relationship at risk. After my meeting with Caspian, I went into a long period of contemplation. I kept reviewing my marriage with Ava, trying to get to the root of the problem. Through counseling sessions with Dr. Eliza, I came to realize that our marriage was already cracked, and Ava's infidelity was just the last straw that broke the camel's back. I began to seriously consider the possibility of divorce. The first time this thought came to my mind, I felt a heartbreaking pain. I kept asking myself, do I really want to give up this marriage? Have I done everything I can to save it? But when I thought about it, I realized that the problems between us had been building up for years. I often ignored Ava's feelings for my work, and Ava didn't express her dissatisfaction enough. The lack of effective communication between us has led to a growing estrangement, and Ava's infidelity is only a symptom of these problems, not the root cause. After weeks of agonizing, I finally made a decision. In a marriage counseling session, I made my wishes known to Ava and Dr. Eliza. I told them that I thought divorce was the only way out for us. The decision broke my heart, but I believed it was the only way to free us both. Ava tried to stay at first, but after seeing my determination, she finally accepted the fact. She admitted that she also felt that our marriage had come to an end. We agreed to start divorce proceedings as soon as possible and try to make a peaceful separation. After making the decision, I began discussing the specifics of the divorce with my attorney. We needed to decide how to divide our joint assets, including the house, vehicles, and bank deposits. Our total assets were calculated to be about $1.5 million. We decided to sell the house and split the proceeds equally. I kept my car and Ava got her share. Our savings were also divided equally. The most difficult issue was custody of our daughter, Emma. As parents, we both love Emma dearly and wanted to play an important role in her development. After lengthy discussions and negotiations, we finally came to an agreement. We decided that we would have joint custody and that Emma would live with us on a rotating basis. We agreed that any major decisions, such as education and medical issues, would require mutual consent. The impact of the divorce was like a boulder thrown into a calm lake, sending ripples throughout Ava's and my lives. Our family and friends have been caught up in the storm to varying degrees. My parents, especially my mother, were very puzzled by our decision. She couldn't understand why we were giving up the marriage. I spent a long time explaining it to them, trying to make them understand that it was a choice I had made after a lot of thought. Over time, they began to accept this fact. The reaction of Ava's family was even more violent. Her mother expressed her disappointment with me directly, believing that I had not fulfilled my responsibilities as a husband. It made me feel a twinge of guilt, but I knew that I had to make a decision about my life. Apart from our family, our circle of friends has also been affected. Some of our mutual friends found it difficult to choose between Ava and me. Some tried to act as mediators, hoping that we could get back together. But many more were understanding and supportive, believing that if a relationship is no longer viable, it is wise to end it. I have faced many challenges in adjusting to the single life. After years of marriage, I suddenly had to relearn how to live on my own. Every task, from cooking to laundry to housekeeping, was uncomfortable. But as time went on, I gradually found my rhythm. At the same time, I'm learning how to co-parent with Ava, and we've agreed on a detailed schedule to ensure that Emma can spend time with us as equals. We also celebrate holidays and special occasions together. Even though Ava and I are no longer married, we try to maintain a friendly relationship with Emma. After the pain of my divorce, I began to re-examine my life. I realized that I had been so focused on my work that I had neglected other important aspects of my life. I decided to make a change. After my divorce, I decided to focus on self-growth. I realized that in the past, I had had some problems with emotional expression in relationships. I began to actively seek change in order to become a better person. I have attended various workshops and seminars to learn how to manage my emotions and build healthier relationships. In one of the emotion management workshops, I learned a simple but effective technique. When feeling angry or frustrated, take a deep breath and try to express my feelings in a more positive way. This technique has worked wonders in my life since then. I also participated in a 6-week relationship boot camp. There, I learned how to listen to others, how to express my needs, and how to seek win-win situations in conflict. Through role-playing and group discussions, I gradually mastered these skills. I found that when I really listened to people and respected their feelings, my relationships became more harmonious. In addition to attending workshops, I started reading books on personal growth. One of the books, Emotional Intelligence. Why Emotional Intelligence is More Important Than Intellectual Intelligence, made a deep impression on me. It made me realize that emotional intelligence plays a vital role in life and work. I began to pay more attention to cultivating my emotional intelligence, learning to think differently, and learning to control my emotions. Through these experiences, I have gradually regained my self-confidence. I realized that when I knew myself better and accepted myself, it was easier for me to accept others. I began to re-examine my past relationships, including my marriage to Ava. I realized that our problems were not only due to Ava's infidelity, but also due to the fact that neither of us understood or met the other's needs well. These realizations have given me new hope for the future. I believe that through continuous self-improvement, I will be able to create more genuine and fulfilling relationships. I hope to use what I have learned to create more connection and understanding not only in love, but also in friendship, intimacy, and even work relationships. I also began to think about how I could pass these lessons on to my daughter, Emma, who I hoped would learn to manage her emotions and build healthy relationships from an early age. I started to communicate with her more, listening to her thoughts and guiding her to express her feelings. I am so happy to see her grow up. After months of self-discovery and growth, my life was getting back on track. However, there was one thing that was always at the back of my mind, and that was my relationship with Ava. Even though we were divorced, we had spent so many years together, and the bond between us could not be broken overnight. Surprisingly, Ava reached out to me. She told me that she too had been reflecting on our marriage and that she wanted us to revisit our relationship. I hesitated, but finally agreed to meet with her. We decided to meet at a neutral place and chose a cafe that we both liked. When I saw Ava, I realized that she seemed to have gone through some changes as well. She seemed calmer and more confident. We started chatting about our post-divorce lives. I was surprised to realize that we had both learned a lot about ourselves and our relationships during this time. During our conversation, we gradually touched on some of the problems in our marriage, and Ava confessed that her infidelity stemmed from a long history of communication problems and emotional detachment between us. She said that she was sincerely sorry for her behavior. I also apologized to her for my neglect and indifference in the marriage. This frank conversation brought us both a sense of relief. We realized that we were both responsible and that neither of us could be blamed for the breakdown of our marriage. This realization made the atmosphere between us much more relaxed. Over the next few weeks, we began to see each other more often. We had coffee, we went for walks, we talked like old friends. We talked about work, about Emma, about our new lives. Gradually, I realized that there seemed to be some unresolved feelings between Ava and me. But we're all cautious. We both knew that we couldn't simply go back to the past. If we were going to rebuild our relationship, we needed a fresh start. We decided that we needed more time to get to know each other and ourselves before we made any decisions. At Dr. Eliza's suggestion, we started to try some new activities. We took a cooking class together to learn how to make Italian food. We also signed up for a week-long couples development camp. During these activities, we rediscovered each other's strengths and learned how to communicate and work together better. The process is full of uncertainty. None of us are sure that after all we have been through, we can start again. But we were willing to try. We both realized that our relationship was unique and worth cherishing. After a long talk, we decided to give each other a chance. We agreed that we would run our relationship in a new way. We would be honest with each other, we would respect each other's needs, and we would grow together. We knew it wouldn't be easy, but we were ready for the challenge. After deciding to give each other a chance, Ava and I began the journey of rebuilding our relationship. We both realized that it would take a lot of hard work and patience. We continued to attend couples therapy and shared our progress and frustrations with Dr. Eliza. She gave us invaluable advice to help us navigate the process. We learned to communicate in a new way. We practiced active listening and I statements to express our feelings instead of blaming the other person. We learned how to compromise and find mutually acceptable solutions. Slowly, the misunderstandings and conflicts between us decreased. We also started making new memories. We planned a long weekend trip to a national park we had always wanted to visit. We felt a sense of peace and connection with nature that we hadn't felt in a long time. We walked hand in hand. We watched the sunset together. We shared our dreams and fears. During that weekend, I felt like we got back to what we felt when we first fell in love. Of course, our relationship wasn't always smooth. Sometimes we still fight over the smallest things. But now, we have the tools to resolve conflicts. We pause our arguments, give each other some time to calm down, and then come back to it. We have learned to forgive each other and ourselves. After a few months of hard work, we all felt a significant improvement. Our communication was smoother and our connection deeper. We started planning our future, discussing our career goals and Emma's education. We felt like we were a team again, facing life's challenges together. On a special night, we decided to renew our vows. In a private ceremony, we promised each other that we would cherish our second chance and that we would love each other for the rest of our lives. We knew that the road ahead of us would not be easy, but we also know that with each other's support and love, we can overcome any obstacle. That night, we decided to let go of the idea of divorce. We realized that even though we had both made mistakes, our love had never gone away. We decided to start our marriage again, and this time, we would cherish it and work harder. I have learned a lot about love and relationships from my experiences. I realized that true love is not perfect. It requires constant effort and maintenance. It requires us to learn to communicate, to compromise, to forgive. But when we really do these things, our love can stand the test of time and bring us endless strength and comfort. I'm sharing this story in the hope that it will give some insight to my friends who are going through a similar dilemma. I want to tell you not to give up on your love so easily. If you still have a glimmer of hope and perseverance, please give each other a chance. Through hard work and communication, you will be able to rebuild your relationship and create your own happiness. Remember, love is never easy, but it is always worth it. Thank you for taking the time to listen to today's story. If you enjoyed it, please like and subscribe if you haven't already. If you have a story to share about your own or someone else's experience, please feel free to contact me. Take care.